success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hit Streak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and I've got an extra special treat for you joining me in the Hit Lab today, folks. This guy is a really good friend of mine. As a matter of fact, my wife and his wife grew up together, and they're what they call besties. But check it out. This guy has grown up and became one heck of a businessman. He is the president and owner of Archadeck Nashville. Folks, it's a top 5 Archadeck franchise in the country. All that means is he's really good at what he does, and I would expect nothing less. Folks, help me welcome Russell Henderson to the Hit Streak. How we doing, baby?
Doing well, Nick. I appreciate you having me here. This is definitely a great honor, and known you for quite some time, and I've been watching what you're doing and loving seeing your podcast grow. And really enjoyed, seeing everything that's happening with you guys there. So I appreciate you having me on. It's definitely something that's going to be exciting.
Well, we got a lot to cover, baby. That was the first hit on the Hit Streak right there, man.
Right.
I love it. So, look, let's get right into it kind of for just a little bit, right? So, doing what you guys do, you work on primarily people's homes.
Right.
So, literally, it's close to home. Mm-hmm. Like you're working with people's most prized and asset, like one of their most special things in their life, their home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So doing that, the customer experience has to be top notch. It has to be top notch. So I know across the board we gripe about it a lot at home about the customer experience seemed to have gone away. Folks, he's building an unbelievable structure at my home right now. They're actually finishing up today, the final touches. And the cool thing about what they built is 100, 200, 300 years after humans have left this earth, there'll be a few structures left standing that will be like, there was people here, I think. This will be one of those structures. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, dude, let's talk about the customer experience because you guys have been top notch. It's been an unbelievable experience working with you guys.
That's great to hear, Nick. No, absolutely. I mean, customer experience, that's one of those things that, I feel that's lost. You see that in a lot of industries, not just when it comes to construction, but, especially what you were talking about on the back of someone's house. It is usually their largest asset, this investment that they have there. And they've got to trust who's working out there. You can't. Once you get into that partnership, it's hard to separate. I mean, you're seeing each other every day, every morning, having conversations all the time. You become part of the family, and that's very important, making sure that you find the right partner. So that's what we focus on. Not only you're finding the right partner, but for us to find the right client. I mean, we do what we do well, but we want to make sure we're doing it for the right people who are looking for what we're wanting to do and what we can do from a high level of customer experience. If we can't, then it might not be the right match, but that's in any industry. We should all be looking for the right match there. It just makes everything go smoothly.
I couldn't have said it better. And, my wife and I, it's baseball season, right? So we've been in and out of town. We're at work. And just like you said, you guys are there first thing in the morning. And we know when they're coming. We know what they're working on. They come out, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff. They have to, they got all this equipment, all this gear. And at the end of the day, when you're building something, you have to make a mess first to build it up, right?
Right.
And the cool thing is why you guys have been building this unbelievable structure. And is it technically a pavilion? Is that what would we call that structure? I mean, we've had walls on it, be a home.
Right. We usually call it detached porch, but it's becoming a pavilion. It's becoming definitely a center in your backyard there.
Well, it's spectacular, and we've been using the pool that's been finished for a couple months while you guys are building that, which just goes to show you they have to clean up a whole lot when they leave every single day for that to be possible, because we got a dog that's the dog's restroom and play area, and we got the 2-year-old that gets into everything, and then we got the 14-year-old that gets into everything.
Right. Well, I'm glad you noticed, because it's your house. Right. You don't want to be messing up someone else's house. That's a big thing that we really try to focus on is, we're not there all the time. After we leave, we go home to our families, you're stepping out. You want to see what's happening. You're stepping out using your pool. You're letting the dog out. it's our responsibility. If we leave it in a way that someone can get hurt, I mean, it's a construction site, but it essentially is your backyard. So we want to make sure that we take care of that.
Man, that's awesome. And it can't be easy to find great labor. But like your guys are just on top of it. And you guys have been working on our home since last fall when we closed off our, we had an open covered patio that we closed in now. And we got some of the coolest, I don't even know how to describe the windows that you guys put in. What would you call those windows? Like they're screen and windows at the same time.
Screen and windows there. It just creates an extra living space. You can make an extra living space or you can open it up to the outdoors. It's just a nice little flow over space when you want to get out there and break away from the inside of the house. So
that's right.
We love doing this.
That's right. Well, folks, Nashville or Archadeck Nashville, like what would you guys say you guys special in? Like, you guys make a lot of decks, but it's really any outdoor structure, right?
It is. We primarily focus on custom decks, porches, patios, outdoor kitchens. That's, outdoor living is such a big market. You got a pool. Got a great pool builder there. There's a lot of things you can actually do in your backyard, but this is what we're good at. And we focus on what we're good at. Clients don't call us to do their bathroom inside their house. It just doesn't make sense. That's not what we do. Now we can go in there, and if they're looking for a deck, then we're going to execute on that. Then that goes back to that experience. We're not going to raise our hand and do something that we're not experienced with.
Right. It
just doesn't make sense. And I've always told our clients, we're not going to experiment on your home. I'll experiment on mine, and then I'll deal with the conversation with my wife about that one. But no, it's not something we want to do. And if new products come into the market, we're going to try them first. We're going to do in our lab. We're going to go in there, experiment to make sure it's the right thing. So that's our passion, and that's the reason we don't do interior remodeling either. That's not a passion of mine. My passion is to be outside, and I love seeing folks just get outside with their families.
Well, you guys do a better job than most in your industry with your online presence, specifically social media. I think it's so cool for us as we've been going through this. They broke ground on the pool last October.
Right.
So, it's a 8 to 10 month process with irrigation and landscape and all that start to finish, which we're in the home stretch on, which 10 months ain't long in Nashville today to do a project of that size. It's actually really short. Feels long on our end, but like it's been a lot of fun watching it come together. And then when we see all the stuff that you guys are posting on your social with your other projects, one, it's inspiring, and two, it's kind of like you get excited. It's like, oh man, like, we're going to be on there one day.
Us, right?
That's right.
Right.
When you are one of the things, so folks, let me tell you about the experience that we had. So obviously, knowing them and knowing that they're the best, when we told them about this pool project, we said, here's what we're dreaming about. And then your wife, who is a great dreamer herself, you guys put together quite the display for us, so that we got to come out to the office. They rolled out the red carpet. We got to look at stuff, pick out stuff. One of the things that was really important to me is when we did this renovation, not only is it for personal time and experience with the family, but it's making our home a more profitable asset. And so when we were telling you all the things that we might want to do and dream and all those things, you guys were awesome at making sure that we didn't spend money that we wouldn't be able to get back later. As you kept it an investment. You took all of our dreams and turned them into a great investment. That was extremely important to us. And does everybody think that way when they're the customer?
Everyone's dreaming big, and I want them to dream big. Let's get it on the table. Let's talk about everything you want to do. But we've done this so much. We can tell you that maybe that's not the greatest idea. Listen, we've learned too, as we've grown this business, learned from feedback from our clients. Well, I wish I would have done this a little bit differently. We take that to heart. We need to make sure that everyone's getting what they want, or, asking the questions, or some folks don't even know what questions to ask. Part of our job is to educate them. So we want to make sure, because we're going to call all of our clients 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, and say, how you like the space? I want to see pictures. I want to know how you're doing it. Invite me over for a burger. Let's use this space. And if someone comes back and says, I'm not using this space, or hadn't had time, I'm going to fall out of my chair. What did we do wrong? Or what can we do to help you guys get back out there? We take it to heart, because that's such a big thing, because you want to spend the money out there to make the home beautiful, and yours is definitely everything you guys done in the backyard there. You can see it when you drive through. But the key there is you guys being outside enjoying that space, and that's the exciting part there. That's what I want to see, definitely, and hopefully we can come on by and enjoy it there for you as well.
No doubt. I mean, that's definitely going to happen. It's just such a, like, that's what creates the customer experience. Is you have to care about it's the customer's the hero of the story, right? In business, the customer's the hero of the story.
Exactly.
So, you guys making sure, because I would assume a lot of your customers are repeat customers, right? And a lot of your customers probably come from current customers, from referrals. Mm-hmm. I would say, based on the experience I've had, that you guys are probably you probably get more word of mouth referrals from current clients than any business.
We get a lot of that, and that's the biggest flattery, when it comes to that. You've got someone that says, I want to refer, a friend of mine, or listen, a neighbor did it. I like what you guys did over there. And it's not that they're looking across the way and seeing something or seeing their neighbors enjoy the space, which that's great. They enjoyed watching us do it. It's not the big unveil, and that's the final product that everyone enjoyed. They watched our crews work out there. Mm-hmm. They watched us clean up. They watched us be respectful of someone's yard there. They watched the craft happen, which I wanted to. That's the exciting part there. You can go in there and just plop a structure in place there, and it's beautiful, but it's what goes into it.
Right.
And the folks that can look at that and appreciate it, I want to have those conversations. That's what we're passionate about. That's the fun stuff.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Well, dude, first of all, how did you pick Archadeck when you figured out you wanted to do this? I want to take the folks back a little bit, right? So, you were in corporate America until 2016. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, definitely. Just like a lot of folks, went to college, got into a career, got in actually into IT. So, which is interesting, going from technology into construction. There's a lot of opportunity there when you start looking at those industries, and it's really just going back and making sure that you implement the right processes and you communicate properly. And technology is out there for all that, and that industry's grown, which is super exciting. So I was definitely in technology. I like to move around a lot, so I went technology, went into banking. And the biggest thing for me, enjoyed my ride, learned a lot from great mentors. The biggest thing for me is I didn't feel like I was making that impact. And it actually came across, I think it was at a, kind of a cocktail party, and my wife was talking to someone. I overheard her say this. They're like, so what do you guys do? And, my wife was a nurse at the time, so she can, help people. Mm-hmm. And then, what does your husband do? And she couldn't tell him what I did. And that's interesting, and that's a lot of these jobs that you're kind of a cog in the machine and you're just doing. But she couldn't say what I did. And then when I stepped in, eyes glazed over. What did you actually do? I wanted something to where my kids, and they do this, and this is a great thing. I can drive by and point and say, we did that.
Oh yeah.
Or we drive by and they're like, did you do that? It's tangible. It's there. And we're creating those experiences for folks there. And it's getting really rewarding now because my kids are noticing, because we're building projects in our own personal neighborhood,
right?
For folks there, and they see what we're actually doing. They see our trucks driving through there. That's fun, and that's exactly what we were looking for, is to be able to have something where we can contribute to the communities that we're in, and something we can hang our hat on, and just enjoy the ride. So that's the reason we took the leap. Actually, I took the leap from corporate America. There is I wanted something a little bit bigger. When I was in banking, it's great industry there. Things we worked on impacted millions, but I did not see the customer face to face. And did not get the look in their eyes.
Speaking of that, you guys have won customer service awards year over year over year. It's kind of like expected at this point. You know what I mean? It's the month where the trophy arrives.
Right. Yeah. If we're not doing those things, then we're not doing what we said we were going to do in the first place. The reason we got into it. And that was the big conversation I know I had with Magan, my wife there. If we're going to do this, we better do it. We're just not going to go in there halfway, just to build a business that's going to be good for our family, which, listen, we all should be doing that in the first place, but it's bigger than that. We wanted to build something that we're passionate about, and that's the reason we got into this Archadeck franchise. But we also wanted to have something to where we could truly feel like at the end of the day that we made an impact in families' lives. And it had to be with families. And that's why I like residential remodeling, because we're impacting families, hopefully in a positive way. And that's great, because I have people work on my house. I want them to impact me positively.
That's right.
These are the things that you're going to remember and you're going to stare at for 20 or 30 years. That's important.
So why did you go the avenue of the franchise? Why didn't you just start your Russell's construction company and get your crew? Like what was the because this is a big important question for folks that want to start a business. Most businesses that you're going to start, there's already people doing it. There's already corporations and chains and all those things already happening. And sometimes a franchise model is a very, very intelligent, smart way to go versus doing it independently, right? So how did you guys come to that conclusion that the franchise model through Archadeck was the place for you?
That is interesting. I've looked at franchises since I was 18. I've probably read 50 FDDs. It was always of interest to me. Business has always been interesting, but I'm a very process oriented person. And I believe from learning from others. So when you start looking at a franchise, if it's an established franchise like Archadeck is, it's already set forth. You've got the processes in place. You've got people who've been doing it for years. So if I would have started Russell's Deck Company, first of all, it doesn't brand well. But that would be me starting from scratch. And there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy that kind of work. But I wanted to hit the ground fast.
Right.
I wanted to make an impact fast. So if I can get in there and there's processes already there and they tell you how to swing the club, go in there and swing the club, and then, change it as you go, as you grow the business there. So that was appealing to me. Because we made that leap, I did not want to, be in the trenches for 5 years and just say, I hope I make an impact there. We wanted to do that from day one. And, if we didn't have to worry about, the brand or the marketing, those kind of things, it just made a lot of sense to us to let us do what we do very well, which is implementation. So we can go in there and do it and then just rely on another entity, someone to support you to do all the other things that maybe we wasn't so good at the time.
A lot of franchise models, those corporations are great partners, are great strategic partners because of the framework you're mentioning. On top of the fact that it's a trusted brand, which that's the hardest thing to do when you start something new is first you got to get their attention and then you got to gain their trust. But there was probably some help with some leads too, because people might go to Archadeck and they would be like, "Hey, here's our Nashville franchise," and so that's really, really smart, man. It's brilliant. And if the deal is the franchise agreement structured and it's fair on both, good for both sides, then why would you not do it?
Right. I say a lot of entrepreneurs that want to create their own. And I'm that same way. What we saw is we looked for a business that we could scale. And it's been done. It was a proven business, especially as a franchise. There's folks that's done it before us. So you could actually go in there and know that you can scale it. You can see that they've had 50 plus locations, so they're doing something right. National presence there. It just made, like I said, a lot more sense. It's almost like we could set up our business plan, say this is where we want to be. As a family, this is how we wanted to grow the business, and not worry about all the nitty gritty, and then focus on that bigger goal. Instead of actually, like I said, the first 5 years is a scrambling and say, what could this be? We already knew what it could be.
Right.
We could focus just on the bigger picture for us.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to The Hit Streak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more. Just like my wife and I do, you and your wife are doing things. She's involved in the business as well, and which is really smart. She's really good at sales. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she made we not only did she know what we wanted, but we wanted it way more after we left.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? After we left, it was like it went from like we should get that to like we have to have it. Like we have to have it. She was really great at that, and it got us so excited for this whole entire project.
The thing, you guys were excited, and that's the key. Is if someone's excited about something, you just gotta keep giving what they're looking for, because that's that partnership piece of it. Because if she would have unveiled something and it wasn't something you guys wanted, changes momentum.
Absolutely.
And it starts from listening.
Absolutely.
That's the key. And I know that is something that I think is a challenge that's out there in any service industry. There is take a moment and listen. They're speaking to you. They came to you. They're talking to you, asking you, or telling you what they want. There's that opportunity of just, I heard you and here you go.
Well, it's especially working on people's homes, you're dealing with families, right? And just like in the insurance space, we dealt with a lot of husbands and wives. So for us, it was a huge advantage to be able to appeal to both. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I know that, you could have did a great job talking to us on your own, just like she could have on your own. But when you get both sides, you get the husband and the wife's perspective, we're a husband and a wife, that seemed to make a lot of sense for us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, you guys are using the space, and that is the interesting perspective, and that's the reason I like bringing Magan into the business. There, it's got a different perspective, and that's that diversity you got to have in every business there, to be able to look at it from different angles, and that's why we ask so many questions in the beginning. And we have to have all decision makers, and outside of decision makers, you got to have everyone that's going to use the space involved. It's sometimes the kids are involved. Sometimes those conversations actually happen in our design center where the kids are there and we're like, well, what are you going to do out there? What's your favorite part? Because that's going to be the kids outside. We all want our kids outside.
Absolutely.
So you get your kids outside and you're going to follow behind them. But if you're not comfortable outside watching your kids, you don't feel like they're safe. I mean, it just changes the dynamic. So to your point there, that it's the family that's going to be using the structure. So, we just don't want one perspective out there of who's going to actually be out using the space there. We want to incorporate as much as we can.
Well, I know that in about in a 5-year period, if not less, from starting this franchise, your wife had her own career, a great thriving career in the medical space. Right. And that was something that you guys were able to get this franchise off the ground. And that was a dream of you guys. And you can tell them a little bit more about that. Get her out of her practice. And then now here she is working with you together, which I love my wife. I think she's awesome. And there's nobody else that I have more fun with. Maybe Jim. But no, not really. She's the best. She's the best, even though we love Jim. But so you get to spend more time, and it doesn't work for everybody. But man, when it does, it's the greatest thing ever.
That's good. You're exactly right, and that was a lot of conversation. She let me do this thing while she had her career. She really loved being a nurse practitioner. Very, very good at what she did.
She was real good
helping people. There's nothing better than that. And you're right. She did retire from that to help start our family, raising our girls there. But it got to the point where she wanted to contribute back. And it was just an easier thing for her because she was obviously involved in the business. If you think about a husband and wife duo, whether they're involved in the business, they're involved in the business. They're the sounding board. So she heard me brainstorm for years. She dealt with my whiteboards all around the house. She saw my spreadsheets. So, it was just part of our life. So she knew the business so much, the ins and outs, and where she could actually contribute. And listen, she had a completely different background, but her perspective of wanting to help people is universal, in any business. And bringing her into the business has transformed our business for sure.
Folks, we are hanging with Russell Henderson, the president and owner of Archadeck Nashville. You can find them online at archadeck.com/Nashville and on Instagram at Nashville Archadeck. All right, I had some questions that I have to get through all this stuff for everybody, right? But these are all the questions I was just asking you, just things that I've admired about you guys and just knowing you forever. And one of my favorite trips that I've ever had, where Rihanna was pregnant with Ansley at the time. We all went to Panama City. You and I it was a girls' trip. Right. They let us 2 guys hang along. I had more fun hanging out with you in the sand all day, watching the girls just do their thing, and we just did our thing. And it was a lot of fun, man. That was a great trip for me.
Absolutely. Good and relaxing. Just very family. It was good. Like I said, we had some great conversations. Definitely got to pick your brain, which was definitely a pleasure there. But what better way of doing it on the beach when you feel small, getting that perspective. So yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. All right. I got some questions here. And I want to kind of stay with the balance of the family, because folks, this, you've got, and tell everybody how old your 3 girls are.
Right now, got some birthdays coming up. Actually, next week. So they're going to be 12, 10, and 8.
12, 10, and 8. So you're right in the thick of it. You ain't got kids out the house.
No.
Right. So, and all this, you did all this career changes, business. How many times have you guys moved in that span?
Oh, goodness. 3.
3 times.
Yeah.
Folks, it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done. And you guys just came off a bucket list vacation, 2.5 weeks, cross country. Let's talk about that for a minute, because like that's something that we've been dreaming about for a long time. And it takes some big old cojones to do something like that. Because you guys came back, it was a great trip. But boy, if it's not, it's not. And 2.5 weeks in small confined spaces. So let's talk about that. So you guys went 2.5 weeks cross country.
We did. Yeah. We started off in, Nashville, and we drove cross country, when I guess I was about 10 years old, went to Yellowstone. And I just like these spaces that make you feel so small. And I still remember that, and that was the big thing I wanted to share with my kids. Let's see this. Hopefully you got memories. If not, I think my wife said we had 819 pictures or something like that. So they're going to remember it. But it was one of those lifetime trips to show them that it's a big world, different perspectives, different landscapes. Look at all of God's beauty out there. So it was great. Every turn that you had there, of course, you're seeing something, and we made the most of it. But you're right. We drove 5,000 miles and 94 hours in a car, and handled it well. The greatest thing that I'm still experiencing from this is our kids first want to still be with us. They didn't go run to their room after we got home and shut the door. We're still turning the TV off at night. We're still playing card games. We're still doing the things that we wanted to do there. And, it's our goal to keep that going and to keep that unity going and create those experiences as long as we can, because they will leave the house and things change. But what we got from that is just a newfound just unity. As a family, and that's going to happen when you're trapped in the car for
absolutely
17 days.
Well, isn't it cool how like easy it is to break cycles? Like, what I'm saying, you guys created new cycles that you're benefiting from now at home. So literally, not only did the trip change you from the time you were on the trip, but it changed how you guys were when you got back. I guess it's easy to figure out. You take a lot for granted. Ethan and I went on a little guys trip in spring training earlier this year, just us two. Flew down to Tampa for a few days and caught a bunch of ball games. And it was just us since that was the first time we'd ever done a guys trip like that. And maybe because we weren't responsible enough to take care of ourselves on our own. I don't know. But, having a new daughter and, all the attention that you have to pay, give to an infant, that was really good for us. And I think that we're due for, like, he was a changed young man when we got back. His whole behavior and how he treated his mom and everything, and how I did,
of course.
You know what I mean? So it just in I think we were going 4 days, how much that changed the trajectory of those things. So it was probably, was it hard to pause for 2.5 weeks? Because you're like me, like right. If you're always a husband and a father, you're always a Christian, you're always a business owner, right? You never clock out. You know what I mean? If you do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Tell me about that, because that's something I need to learn how to do a little better.
It's hard, and it was an experiment for me. Something I've been working on probably about the last 3 years is being intentional. Being present, in general. It's easy. You're chasing squirrels, right? You're going over here and new ideas, do this and that. The biggest thing I told myself, and told God, if you're going to let us do this trip, is let me be present. That was huge for me. So every day, it's kind of hard not to be present when you got kids, 3 feet behind you, there, and you're listening to their music stations, right? You're all in it together. You can hear the movies they're playing. You're there, and plus you're just looking out the windshield and you're just looking at all that beauty as you're going. There was I will say and I love doing this with my wife. There's a lot of quiet time with us. We don't have to talk all the time because we were both absorbing that. Because in the busy day, we're still talking, especially as husband-wife duo in a business.
Right.
Talk about the family, talk about the business, you talk about life, you talk about where you're going, talk about vacations that we never took. So it was that moment of saying, we're doing this. And let's just be present. And you're right. I can't unwind. It's hard to relax there. I think when we took that trip down to Florida there, probably about the third day, I started settling into that beach chair a little bit.
That's right. It takes time.
It takes a little extra time there just to do it. But I mean, it was probably several days in, I started feeling like this is going here. The cool thing is that we knew we still had a lot of time left. I think that's part of having these small trips that I've witnessed myself. You take 5 days, 6 days, and I know it's going to take me 3 days to unwind. Then I know in 2 days I got to get back into it. That tension, that stress is still there. But after about 3 or 4 days, and I started unwinding, I'm like, we still got almost 2 weeks left on this thing. Let's hang in this spot for a little bit.
That's right.
And that was good. That was good. So I'm still trying to recover from it. Being relaxed like that, but it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
If you can't take those little amount of time, and I challenge everyone, take that every day. To get that time, that reflection time, the relaxation time, just to be present. If you can't force it, stop everything and take a trip where you have to do it. And that was my commitment. It was, like I said, it was an experiment, but boy, we liked it.
Well, that's awesome. We need to do, our family needs to do something like that. And, your grandkids will know about this trip. Like, that's one of the generational things you guys just created for your family. Your great grandkids will probably hear about that trip, especially with technology and the fact that you guys have footage and photos of everything, right? But those are lifetime milestones that never get forgotten. You know what I mean? That never get forgotten. And when they never get forgotten, there's a little bit of pressure that is it a good memory or a bad memory?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it was just really cool to see, because all the jokes, 2.5 weeks trapped in a car, literally trapped was the key word, right? Trapped in a car with the kids. Like, what can go wrong? You know what I mean? Right. And so there's a whole lot of variables there, but at the end of the day, the kids are going to follow the vibes of the parents. You know what I mean?
That's it. If we were not enjoying ourselves, if we were stressed as parents, we create a stressful environment. So our thing is let it just be. Creating habits. You got to start somewhere, and that's why we want to continue. It was a blessing to be able to say, we're on vacation. Let the kids be kids. When you're at home, sometimes that's a challenge. You want to keep everything clean and straight and keep the noise down, but you're trapped in the car. Gloves are off. It doesn't matter. Mess the car up. There's nothing you can do. You got 2.5 weeks in the same thing, just sweep it out every once in a while and be loud. What else are you going to do? Just be loud. So it allowed us just to step back and let them be them. And it softened our heart as well. Yeah. And hopefully that's carrying on from there now, that we can say, hey, just do you.
You probably got 6 months of time with them in 2.5 weeks.
Easily.
You know what I mean? It's unbelievable, man. Good for you guys. Seriously, congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. You've mentioned God, and I know your faith's very important to you, just like it is to us. And like folks, it means a lot when the businesses that we do business with are follow along the same lines with they align with our faith, because our faith is a big piece of our business and the quality of our business and how we treat people, right?
Absolutely.
So, talk to me about how you use your business and how you treat your team and honoring God, your customers, and your partners.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts there. The biggest thing you can do is realize that we own nothing, right? We're just stewards of what's been given to us, and every day's different. And that's really the approach. Obviously we're stewards of what God has given us, and we've been blessed. And but we're also, if you start thinking about stewardship there, we're stewards of this business for our team. We're not just doing this for us. We're doing this for our team members, because there's nothing better to watch them thrive, because you're building something that's bigger than you. We're stewards of this business for our communities, for our clients. We're just not here just to turn a deck, just to build it real fast and get out of there. I mean, we want to make sure we're honoring what they've asked us to do. And that goes back to your faith there, and just making sure that you're humble, that you're doing the right things, that you love your neighbor as yourself, right? So that's those kind of things to make sure that that's key there. I know for my faith journey, and it's like anyone's journey, it's a struggle in life. Everyone gets busy. But when our business really started taking off for me is when I stopped and put that first, that's when it flew. And that's when I really started taking the time to calibrate and the rituals I do, taking time to reflect, taking time to read the Bible before I look at an email in the morning, because that matters. That's the message I'm going to take that's going to create that response, or how I react to an email, or how I react to anything that I do. So that's the first thing that we do in our family. And, we're constantly just thanking God and making it present that we're able to do this for so many people there. So yeah, faith is important. It should be for everyone there. But like I said, for us as a business, allowed us to really put that perspective of why we're doing this. And it goes back to impacting others. Couldn't do that back in corporate America. But now being someone of faith, I could talk about that, or at least people can see it in my actions.
Right.
And that goes back to that trust. That's that person in the back of your yard there. I'm not going to try to sweep something under the rug and hide from that, because someone else is watching me. I don't care who else is not seeing me, around the corner there. And that's a good way of looking at things, I think, because that just means you're always going to stand up and do what you need to do as a human.
The Hit Streak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. A form of self-reflection or being present with the important people in your life. Your company focuses on creating physical spaces that allow for the 3 R's to happen that you guys talk about a lot. What are those 3 R's, Russell?
It's I always like to say we're creating these spaces to help folks relax, reconnect, and recharge. Those are the 3 things. So it just allows us to have that perspective of why we're doing that. We all need to relax. We're all tense. This world is flying by there. I raise my hand. It's hard for me to relax as well. We just talked about it with my trip. But we also love, creating spaces to create that moment for folks to reconnect. The interesting thing is, we all did this, sit down with a pint of ice cream on a Friday and watch Netflix, and someone asks you on Monday, what'd you do Friday? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Flipping through whatever, 3rd season of Seinfeld or whatever there is. But if you're sitting outside in a fire pit with your kids, or just doing something, having a good conversation, you remember that. You remember that past that day, because you're able to reconnect and create those right memories, I think, there. And then the opportunity to recharge is the big thing. You should find something, whether it's creating spaces, you have a hobby, whatever it is. You got to find something that recharges you there, because you're not good to anybody if you're not recharged.
So as you guys can tell, the values that my family has are very much in alignment with the way that you guys run your business, which I got to tell you, man, when we were envisioning this massive project behind our home with the pool and all the stuff, one of the greatest gifts you guys gave us, and it was right around Christmas time when we kind of got the digital renderings of everything and what it was going to look like, which is a great Christmas present, by the way. Thanks for that. But like everything that I had in my mind, which was spectacular, let me tell you, what you guys showed me just totally blew it out of the water. It was like so much better. And there's a certain level of trust that you got to have with those people. And that's really hard to come by when you're just getting that relationship off the ground and you're trying to find out what's important to people and so much and everything else. Like you guys have those guiding principles, those 3 R's: relax, reconnect, and recharge. I mean, that's fantastic. I can't think of a better way to lead into a conversation about what it is you're about to be building for somebody than that. Like, that's awesome, man.
You're right. Well, it goes back to, and I know we've talked about this before, is how do you want to feel in that space? And renderings, those kind of things help. But if you look at something and go, man, I just want to be there. I can see myself reading a book there. I can see myself watching my kids play in the pool from a space like that. Then we're all on the same page. We're going down the right path when it comes to that. Then you just got to execute. But, these kind of spaces is all about the feeling that you want someone to experience actually out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, it starts with the conversation and starts with building that trust.
Well, the quality of work, like I'm still blown away at you could have stuck some big old poles in the ground and slapped a roof and some gutters on it and painted them up, put a media wall in the back and look real good. Folks, the trim on this thing is unbelievable. Like, it's like, you get into the big multi-million-dollar homes and everything's decked out from the backsplashes to the crown molding and everything else. That's what we got outside in our backyard. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, we got some good guys, and it starts with having team members that care.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure a lot of the trim or some of the finishes, that are on your porch there. I mean, we have our standards, right? We're going to do it, but I'm sure a lot of those surpass maybe some of the standards I communicated there because they care. They wanted to see it. They felt good doing it.
I didn't know we wanted it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until I saw it, and it was just like, that was one of the first things as people were watching it be built, as the trim's starting to go on, that everybody commented on, is just like the detail on all these little bitty things. Like, I mean, the amount of trim just underneath the roof is unbelievable. How when you look up, it's kind of like, holy cow, like, it's beautiful up there. Like, the whole, whether you look down, up, left, right, or wherever, it's just, it's awesome. It's a really great thing. And the way that the kitchen and everything else turned out, like, it just totally, like, look, I didn't grow up having anything like that, so, and I've never built anything like that. This is the first time for me. So it could have gone horribly wrong if I didn't know, if I didn't have somebody leading the charge for me, because again, we told you guys kind of what we wanted. And the coolest thing too is when you guys were able to deliver those things, just the way your faces lit up when you said, "Hey, check this out!" Like, you just knew we were going to like it. It was like you already knew, and just kind of like when your kids get, what they want for their birthday or Christmas, and you see them unwrap it, and they get it. That look on their face, that's the look I feel like we had when you guys showed us that stuff.
We were ready for that moment.
Oh man, it was great, and just the whole experience. I can't say enough about it. And you guys are working with other vendors, which those other vendors have been likewise, like, man, these guys are really good. That was a gift for them because now they got your phone number and you guys can work together in the future. We are blessed to hire some other good vendors as well that are awesome. Dan and all those guys, and Josh and everybody else. And with a project like this, there's people at your house every day. Most days of the week, a minimum of 5, sometimes more, since October. And again, just like you said, those people have, like, your guys at work, they're there in the morning. They've seen my kid and I work out every day. Like, they know what I drink in the morning and like everything. They're part of the family. And a lot of times you're like, I can't wait till all this is over with and all these people are gone. It will be a little bit. It'll be a little sad when the guys aren't there all the time. Just because you talk to them, every day. You see them, glad they're doing well, and so on and so forth.
I'm glad you brought that up because we hear that a lot. Actually, that we'll call our clients after about 30 days and just say, hey, is everything still going good? Is there anything that's settled or moved? I mean, we're dealing with natural products, actually outside or, outside structures, and things shift and move. And we want to make sure we keep an eye on that. Weather.
It's rained all summer.
So things shift and change. And, the one thing I hear all the time is, we're glad it's over, but it's kind of lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. You are building those relationships. If you got the right people out there, you're just enjoying it. I think we're all in it for the same reason. We just want to do good by our clients, do good by God, and go home to our families. It's it's just it's a pretty simple formula. I think a lot of people just forget.
Well, there's and you have 3 other words that I love that that are your secret weapons for business owners and entrepreneurs: resilience, humility, and heart. Right. So talk to me about kind of how you came up with that. And I'd like to hear some of the people, the guys that have influenced you in business, because you've studied a lot of folks, you've gone to conventions, you've read books, you're very educated when it comes to this stuff. So I'd love to hear about those 3 words, those secret weapons, and maybe some of the folks that have inspired you to get you here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. These are not things that obviously I made up, and they're definitely been inspired, from conversations or things I've read from the Bible, right? If you think about all the good stuff in Proverbs. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you just stare at that for a while, you're gonna get a lot of that. So, resilience for me, as an entrepreneur, you're not going to make it unless you say you're going to make it. I mean, you've got to know, you got to take the lumps. you've got to experience the lumps, and that's the beauty of, and I'm hard-headed, the learn from others, but you got to experience that kind of stuff. And you've got to be able to say, well, that was a lick, I'm going to get up and do it again. But what did I learn from that? You're not going to keep beating your head up against the wall. So that's that resilience piece of it. And I felt like that's always something I've had. And of course, if you look at all successful folks like yourself there, you've got resilience. You reflect and learn, from these moments. We've all had moments where you're questioning yourself, but if you don't forget the why you're doing it, and you say, all right, tomorrow's another day, sleep on it and go and just make it happen. That's the resilience piece of it. Humility's it speaks for itself, and that's something we hire for too, right? If you're not humble, you're not going to learn anything. And that's something that, we're big on, to make sure that, I forgot where I heard this from, but, if you think know everything, you're not going to learn it. That's essentially it. If you're not humble, then you're missing on that opportunity there. And sometimes humility comes in the form of a beating, in terms of business. And sometimes it's just hopefully something that's instilled in you from other areas there.
Right.
And I think faith has a lot to do with that.
Absolutely.
So I think if you don't feel like you're humble, then if you're not humble whatsoever, you're just missing out. So always sit back, use those 2 ears instead of talking all the time, and just absorb. And I've always felt like I've always been a listener. But humility is huge for me, and then heart is the same thing. You've got to care about what you're doing. And that goes back to, why we got into the Archadeck franchises. There's tons of franchises. I could have scaled and had 10 haircut places or flip burgers or whatever, but I'm not passionate about those things.
Right.
It doesn't give me that passion. I did not have any kind of heart or excitement when it came to that. But if I can get back and look at, I'm creating something for someone to enjoy for a long, long time. Something I got behind it. Didn't have to be building. Remember, I came from a different industry, but I could see what that could do, and that kind of attracted me to the building industry, which is pretty interesting. So it's making sure that everyone should do what they care about, which allows you to really wake up in the morning and say, world, let's go. This is what I'm meant to do. So it's just 3 things that we like to, I personally like to look at and say, am I actually showing these things on a daily basis? And some of these things, Patrick Lencioni is, he's got some great books out there, Humble, Hungry, Smart, all those kind of things there. I take that to heart. It allowed us to build some core values in our business when we're hiring folks, to really making sure we're getting the right folks there. Some other, local folks here like Michael Hyatt, some of the work that they've done, of course, Dave Ramsey, just guys that are successful, but guys that are faith-based. When they're actually doing the right stuff, they're thriving, but they haven't forgot who they are.
Right.
That's huge. That's huge, because it gives me the energy and the perspective that you don't have to give up anything. Stick with what stick what you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
And just be humble about it, and it's going to happen.
You can have it all. You just have to figure out a way to do it. That's it. I heard something the other day from one of my buddies, David L. Cook, and he had said that, when you feel like you're getting too big, what you'll find out is you're actually not big enough. And he said, when you feel like you have nothing left, you still have a prayer. You know what I mean? And those 2 things really hit me hard, especially the prayer piece. And when you feel like you're too big, there's still there's still not, big is like endless.
That's it.
It's endless.
And that was something we got from the trip, and that's why I like going to the beach or to the mountains. And it was probably the grandest moment I had on our trip there, is standing at the base of the Tetons, Grand Tetons there, and reading something, and I'm going to butcher this information, but it's like the youngest mountain range, in North America, and it was like still 20 million years old. I was like, that's the youngest, and we're just a piece of glitter, when it comes to that flash, and standing there and looking at and feeling that small and how grand those kind of things are. you can never achieve that. Or once you start feeling that big, just pause for a moment and say, that's pride, right? That's pride, and it's, that's getting into you at that point. So pull back a little bit, then to your point there, you'll even go even further.
Talk to me about all great businesses, especially ones that are able to scale and grow. There's certain things they have to be able to do over and over again. A lot of consistency, a lot of framework, a lot of process, a lot of habits to be able to deliver on time and manage expectations, right? So what we found, the better we are at it in business is because we're working on it really hard in our personal life, right? So you can't just be process driven at work and then not at home. It's a commitment to all. It's like that old saying, the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? So talk to me about how you use that on a personal level, all the way down from daily rituals, communicating with others, and delivering on your promises.
You're exactly right. And I'm a very process driven guy. Then what to measure, what to fix. You look at sports, you get your swing just right. You swing every time and you know what to actually correct. So that's been a big thing for me, is to make sure, can we measure it? Are we doing it the same way? Replicate it. If that's good, replicate it. And I try to take that, in my personal life as well. Rituals are extremely important. Not saying I'm perfect at it, especially after the vacation. Those kind of got scattered a little bit. My getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and my quiet time was getting up at 8 o'clock and not having any quiet time because my kids were up.
Yep.
But being able to get into those kind of routines, that little bit of predictability gives you confidence. And that's exactly why I personally focus on those things. I know within an hour and a half every morning, I've done what I needed to do mentally, spiritually, to set myself up for success. And at that point, I just got to be faithful that it's going to happen. So making sure you got the right routines in the morning to get your space right before you step out there, because the world's a crazy place, but that's okay. Being able to go out there and be centered is great. Any kind of routines that you've got, and it could be whether you're working out or eating right, those kind of things. I'm very consistent. My wife laughs at me there. I eat pretty much the same thing, same time every day, because I know exactly what it is, and I know how it treats me. And it's predictable, and it gives you that right level of energy to execute every time. And then just making sure, same way when wrapping up the day, is making sure you have something in place so you can turn that mind off, get the rest there. So got all sorts of rituals. I've tweaked it over the years. I've tried.
Sure.
Do it 45 minutes, do it an hour and a half, try to figure out. But one thing I have not changed for me is spending that first 45 to an hour in the morning of a cup of coffee, no lights on, and just for me, reading the Bible. Sometimes it's maybe reading a verse and staring out a window. That's just as good to me, because at that point, it's stillness that I'm looking for, just to say, all right, what's coming my way today, and just try to let that prioritize my day instead of me trying to prioritize my day. Because sometimes if you just be quiet, your day falls in place.
The Hit Streak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com.
As a leader and somebody that has to deal with the customers on a regular basis, just because you might be having a bad day, but your bad day can't bleed over and make theirs a bad day. Folks, when you're picking out your people, isn't this the type of person that you want? Somebody that takes that pride in that first hour to make sure that their day is going the right way, because we're not the best versions of ourselves when we're having bad days. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know the days when I'm probably the hardest to be around, the team may say a little different. But for me, it's sometimes I get stretched so thin in all the different places that I don't get, all I need is time with my wife and kids. If I get that, I'm good. You know what I mean? Anytime I'm ever really not happy and doing and in the best of moods, it's usually because I feel like I'm being, that's where I want to give my time, and I'm having to give it over here. So it almost feels taken a little bit, or even taken hostage. So for me, it's real simple. Anytime I get burnt out, or I never get burnt out actually, but anytime I just get upset, or I'm having a bad day, or even a couple bad days, first thing I do is I got to figure out what I'm grateful for. You know what I mean, and all the lessons I'm gonna learn from that bad day. But that also lets me know is I just need to go home. I need to go home, spend some time with my family.
That's right.
All right. Well, here's where we get to the fun stuff, right? So we have one of the things that we like to say around here a lot is, there's good, there's fast, and there's cheap. And we especially with training insurance agents, we used to talk about that a lot, because one of the biggest objections is price. And
Of course.
one of the biggest misconceptions, Russ, that I had about your space is I didn't know anything about real estate. And I thought, a house costs this much. And it blew my mind to think that a structure outside the house could cost almost as much as the house. And understanding how much value can be added to your home when you're making these additions. And all those things are very important. But I think it was on the beach trip when I was asking you about that. And, you're like, well, Nick, most of the house is inside. It's not exposed to the elements. And most of the things that we build, it's exposed to the elements, which means there's a whole lot more. It's just a totally different thing. It needs a lot of protection and infrastructure and, all kinds of stuff to be able to withstand Mother Nature, who is undefeated, by the way, last time I checked. You know what I mean? So what are some of the biggest misconceptions or what something that you could offer folks, when it comes to, I think my question is why the best price usually does not equal the best experience, right? So we've talked a little bit about the experience you guys can create. But again, when stuff's breaking down all the time, it don't last a long time. I mean, literally, the Statue of Liberty will still be standing hundreds of years after America is gone. Well, so will my structure that you built. You know what I'm saying? I promise it's going to be there. Talk to folks a little bit about, how they can, when they're making their dreams for their space, how to work on the finance part.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, money's important. You don't want to throw money at something that's not going to give you a return. We get that. And that's why we focus on doing certain projects. And we're very honest. I tell clients all the time that don't do that. It could be an extra $10,000 on top of the project, whatever it may be for what we're doing there. But I'll tell them, don't do that. It's not going to be worth it to you because you didn't ask for it in the first place. It didn't make sense. So to your point there, yeah, things do cost money. And just think about all the experiences that you have out there. Doesn't mean you got to spend tons of money to make sure that you have the greatest experience there, but don't cheap out. I mean, how many experiences have we actually had out there to where, I'll raise my hand. My wife would say cheap person. I say frugal in terms of, spending money when it comes to things there. But it goes back to making sure that, quality's there in anything you do. It could be, in a haircut or going out to eat or whatever there is there. You're willing to spend money on stuff that's going to give you the right experience. And it might be an experience then, but what about the experience later? Those kind of things. So spending the right amount of money, and again, the right amount of money, and the right amount of money is the amount of money you want to spend on it in the first place. Sometimes folks have to recalibrate and be educated on what things cost. That's great. Not many people go buy a deck every year. It's like buying a mattress.
Right.
Every time you go buy a mattress, it's like, what in the world? Or buy some other type of product where you might touch it every 7 to 15 years, whatever it may be.
Right.
Markets shift and change. So letting folks understand what things cost is the baseline, and then find out, is that worth it to you in the first place? But being able to understand why things cost that way, because doing it right, the science behind it, the right product, definitely adds to the cost of things.
Right.
The other piece of it, we're talking about the best price might not equal the best experience. The other piece of it is having the right people do it. And that's why I like people to see our team personally. And there's other businesses out there that have great teams, but those are the companies that reinvested back in their people.
Right.
They're the ones who reinvested into the systems and the processes, into the people. And taking care of everyone, because if you're taking care of your team as a business owner, they take care of your clients. And it's just a simple formula, but that costs money. So you've got to make sure any business has got to price their product right to execute and to deliver what they say they're going to deliver on.
Right.
And that just comes back to understanding why you're doing it in the first place. So that's where a lot of price comes into. there is a lot of, especially when you start getting into construction, there's stuff that unbelievable price. You might want to start questioning those kind of things. There's a lot more questions you can ask, and a lot of people don't know. And give us a call or go Google, what questions should I ask folks, about a project or about these kind of things there. Everything that you're asking that might build onto the experience or build into the project has a cost associated with it. And eventually you'll understand that. And then part of it is, again, just what do you want to spend? I know our job is not to spend people's money. It's just to listen to them and say, can we partner with you or not?
I couldn't have said it better myself. And, you guys are dealing with the outside elements. You're dealing with weather and all the stuff that I know when you guys were, when the guys were putting together the framing in the outdoor patio that is now indoor outdoor,
right?
When they were framing that in, they didn't know that they had just dug up everything in the back and they were getting it ready to pour concrete. Literally, I think they were having to step over wet concrete to get into the space, carrying all these parts and everything else. And then on top of that, it rained I think 2 weeks in a row in December, every single day. So, they're stepping in. It was a disaster back there. And you guys don't, when you quote the job, you don't know that's going to be there. You
can't factor that in.
Right.
But what we can factor is having the right team members that can work with them. That's what we can prep for. Hey, listen, if this happens, what do you do about it?
Right.
Having the right team members to do that, and that's something I know when we started this business, to make sure that we're building a team that would do it the way we would do it every time. And we would do it or do the unexpected, and I think every business needs to have that. And that goes back to the experience in general there. You can't predict everything, especially when it comes to construction. There's way too many variables being outside. It's just what you do. If there's delays, you're communicating it.
Absolutely. You guys did an outstanding job of that. And I think it's, it's just, you never can forecast everything, but at the end of the day, we talk about this a lot. Especially when it comes to health insurance, which you have a lot of experience with. One of the most common things, something that I was guilty of saying back before I knew what I know, is that I don't care, just give me the cheapest thing there is. And if somebody said, Nick, name one time that's ever worked out for you. Name one time that was ever a good idea. You're buying shoes, you're getting the cheapest ones you can get. You're buying a car, buying food, anything. When do you ever seek and chase the cheapest thing you can find? So, going back to how we kind of opened this little segment here, you can have it good, you can have it fast, or you can have it cheap, but you only get 2 out of the 3. You know what I mean? So if you think about it, if it's good and fast, well, why would you expect it to be cheap? You know what I mean? And if it's good and cheap, then it's probably not going to be fast.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if it's fast and cheap, then it probably ain't going to be good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of the way it goes. And that's kind of the way that we push everything. And anybody that has an issue with price on anything that we offer, that's one of the easiest ways to get people to wrap their head around it is just kind of go into those. It's a great close when you're doing that, right? So, but again, do you want the cheapest crew in town to do your stuff? And if so, how'd you get there?
Well, the thing is, and that's, to that point, I personally, as the business owner there, don't want to be the cheapest, because that doesn't line up with what we do.
Thank you.
It doesn't line up personally with the type of team I want to have. If I've got folks that want to just do it fast and get out and not check those kind of things, they're not following our core values. And I know I would have a hard time when it comes to that. But that was also one reason we got into the type of business we're in. Let's get into a business that we can take time doing it, and people understand that sometimes it takes time to do it. If you get into fast food, flipping burgers, you expect it to be fast.
That's right.
Probably what you're going to get. So that's not behind what I would do. Is it process driven? Absolutely. I can see that. But it's just not in line with making sure that you're providing your best self.
It's fantastic. And again, I don't know when I ever want, especially if somebody's going to be doing something on my home, when I want to get I'm taking pride in the fact that it was the cheapest folks. The people that do this stuff for you, the company has to be able to invest in those people, because that's how you get that great experience. And, if it takes them 30 days to do it, well, you're not paying for the 30 days they're there. You're paying for all the days and years and hours of experience that they've accumulated over time that makes them the best at what they do. And the fact that they are going to be reinvesting into their people to continue to one, like, I want to work with a company that gives great jobs to people. You know what I mean? Gives people great opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And because not everybody wants to be a business owner. Maybe that guy just likes to build stuff and he don't want to deal with the back end stuff and the finance and everything. He wants to have the tools in hand and make and create awesome stuff.
You gave him that opportunity.
That's right.
And that's great. I mean, we're all set up to do something in life. I mean, and some folks might not know exactly what that is. I mean, that's where my faith comes in, is for me to listen and find out what that is. But we all have different skill sets. And, the ultimate goal should be for us all to be productive. But how do you be productive is do what you love.
Yep.
And you're exactly right. I mean, our team is a team. There's folks that are doing things that can't do it. I couldn't build your structure personally. Like I said, I mean, I'm not a carpenter. I can build some things, but it wouldn't end up with what you want. But what we can do is find the right folks that can, give them an opportunity, and then do what we're good at by wrapping that experience around there and executing on what we do there.
I just thought of something, being a hometown fan of the Tennessee Titans. There was some years in the 2000s since McNair and that regime moved on, that I can remember hearing people say, man, if the owners would just spend a little money, we'd be better. Well, hold on a minute. So wait a minute. You, as a fan of the team, you don't want the owner to spend the least amount possible to be the cheapest franchise in the NFL, right? Well, right. So those little applications on how we think, when you learn to apply those to everything you do, it really helps out a lot, right?
Absolutely.
And again, I think this is a really important piece here, because, like you said, this pavilion, it needs a way grander name than that. We'll figure that out. We'll
name it.
Yeah. But I've never built one before. It's my first time. And I've never built a deck before, or really anything like that. So you're dealing with a lot of first time people. So they, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I don't know. I just think, well, it's just wood and some concrete and, some drawings and stuff. It can't be too bad.
Right.
But it's way more than that.
It is, and something you touched on, you're right. A lot of our clients, that's one of the questions we ask. Tell me about your remodeling experience, because we want to make sure we understand where you're at, what are your expectations, or help calibrate your expectations. And we've always looked at it. There's a customer journey when it comes to discovery, trying to find the right partner in anything that you do there. The excitement of the purchase, the excitement of the build, those kind of things. It's an emotional roller coaster, and everything we've always looked at is there's a lot of fear and anxiety when it comes to someone cutting into your home. As long as we understand what that fear and anxiety is, and we tailor our business towards that, then it's a great experience for us. And we don't know that until we ask those questions and understand who we're building for.
And then some exciting news for folks in Chattanooga, kind of letting the cat out of the bag a little bit right here. But you guys are expanding.
We are. So yes, we're starting our Chattanooga location, which is something near and dear to me. I grew up right outside of Chattanooga, so it's great to get back in that area. Still Middle Tennessee for us, but we've done what we felt like we needed to do, structured the business the way we needed to here in Nashville, replicated the good. I think we can replicate it in another market. So you're right. It's an exciting opportunity for us to scale and to take what we've done, truly a franchise model, and drop it into an area that's got a lot of need in terms of having a product like this there. And it's a beautiful area. So we're looking forward to developing those communities.
Chattanooga is beautiful. And it's one of Tennessee's best kept secrets. If you're in Tennessee, you know all about it. But I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff there. And it is just beautiful. It's like that whole city's just kind of like sunk in between all the mountains and stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, congratulations on that. That's very exciting for you guys. Folks, we're hanging out with Russell Henderson, the president and owner of Archadeck Nashville. Online, you can check him out, archadeck.com/Nashville, and on Instagram at Nashville Archadeck. Russ, is there anything else that you can think of that we need to leave the folks with today before we bring this sucker to a close?
We're letting the cat out of the bag. This is another thing from an expansion standpoint here in Nashville that we're super excited about, and it's listening to our customers over the years. We are finally moving our location. We love where we're at. We're moving 3 minutes down the road. But you guys will definitely be seeing us right off I-65 in the next several months. And we're building an outdoor design center for us. So if you go back to the experience, we're taking that next level, because that's always the question folks have. That looks pretty. Is it going to look pretty in 3 years? We'll come by and look at it, and I'll show you what it's going to look like in 3 years.
It's almost via virtual reality, but it's real.
It's real. And that's the fun part. It's the same approach we've took in our current design center, and just the experience of that is take your shoes off. Isn't that how you're going to use the space in the first place?
Yeah.
So we want folks take your shoes off when you walk out there, and walk over there and sit down, have a glass of wine, drink some tea, just hang out for a little bit, sit in the shade. How does that sound? And just really enjoy the space and say, can you feel this? What feeling is this giving you right now? Is this what you want to replicate in your backyard? So we're excited about that, because, a lot of that is we do a great job in what we do, but they don't know until we're done.
Right.
Now they're going to find out what it's like before they even get there. And it's my job just to say, all right, you see it. That's going to be the way it's going to be in your backyard, but at least you know what it's going to be like.
That's outstanding. And it sounds like a good place to just come hang.
Absolutely.
Would you need a little Russ and Magan time?
That's right. No, it's going to be a great space there. It'd be nicer in my backyard, probably.
Let's go. I'm feeling some holiday parties out there. We got a good little party spot. I love it.
The Hit Streak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial.
Well, dude, anything else? This has been fantastic. I was really excited about this time together, just because, again, the last 7 months, working with you guys on all that stuff, the 2 phases out there, and now we're already dreaming about other stuff. Like it's been a great experience, and I've learned a ton. Building the pool, like we get beat up with so many questions from folks, like, man, like, how'd you pick the people and what's it like? And dude, nobody knows. Nobody. I'm telling you, this is a lot of information that people need. 100%.
It is. It's all about just educating folks, and they're going to make the decisions they need to make. So, I appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed our friendship, and definitely learning from you. So this is definitely a pleasure to be able to speak about what we're passionate about.
I love it. Folks, once again, big thanks to Russell Henderson, the president and owner of Archadeck Nashville. Archadeck.com/Nashville is the website. On Instagram at Nashville Archadeck. And I'm really excited about the future of their digital marketing as well. We've had some good conversations about that. They're just getting started, folks. They're already killing it, and they're just getting started. So congratulations to you guys on a great run so far, and really excited to see what the future holds for you, man.
Excellent. Thanks, Nick.
Well, folks, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.